America was founded by white people. Europeans are distinct from Asians, Africans, the indigenous people here. They look different, act different, have a different level of development. They just are different. If you have white people forming a country, it will look one way. If you have non-white people, it will look another way. We like the way America is, or the way it used to be. We want it to be that way for our kids. We want it to be that way in the future. That means it can't be non-white. That means it cannot be transformed into a non-white place. That means we have to stop immigration from non-white countries, but nobody wants to frame it in those terms. And so as long as we're in the system, it's sort of like we can never really tell the truth because we're always trying to appeal to everybody involved. You have to please everybody, and you can't please everybody and save America. That's sort of the uncomfortable America.
And that is the uncomfortable truth. Can't please everybody. And not everybody's going to be happy with you. So that is the controversial political figure by the name of Nicholas J. Fuentes. All right, and welcome back to the podcast, Two Protects One. Tonight we're going to look at some viral clips from Nick's appearance on the podcast, Slightly Offensive. So I do have some clips pulled out. I want to talk about some of the more viral clips. And I'll let you determine whether or not Nick is this big, bad white supremacist or if he just cares about his own people and really he is in line for one hell of a redemption arc in 2025. So a lot of people have very strong takes on Nick Fuentes. And a lot of people have had very strong takes on Nicholas J. Fuentes for years, okay? Ever since he called out Israel and the Zionists back in 2018, 2019, Nick has basically battled with some very powerful people. He's had bank accounts completely erased. He still, to this day, can't do any banking in the United States of America. He was on the no-fly list for January 6th, and he was basically made out to be like a domestic terrorist, all because he has certain views and beliefs about the direction of this country, and he calls out Jews and Israel and so on and so forth. So I don't agree with Nick on everything. I will say that just straight out the gate. There is some stuff we don't agree on. Him not voting for Donald Trump in the 2024 election, I was pissed off at him, some of the stuff he was saying. So I'll be the first one to say I wasn't on the Nick Fuentes let's not vote for Trump bandwagon. But I will sit here and say that a lot of what he was saying and the reasons he was giving that he was not going to vote for Trump in 2024 are actually starting to come true. So, which is kind of depressing. But before I get started, I'll say hi to a couple people in the chat. You have coming in the chat, you have Incoherent Turd. Welcome. I know you've been in and out. I'm glad you could jump in and watch a little bit of the show. So I think everybody that watches this will either form one opinion or another. Okay? And I'll let you decide. I'll give my opinion and how I feel about it. But I said last week that, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I said like 2 weeks ago, I wasn't going to talk about politics on this channel. And then I backtracked on that. and I want to talk about politics on this channel. And I'm talking to my YouTube subscribers. I'm definitely going to talk about politics on Rumble. That wasn't even up for a debate. But this seems to be one of the most controversial topics on right-wing politics, and just podcast in general. A lot of people will not have Nick Fuentes on their show, okay? And it's crazy. It's crazy. The amount of people that are scared to have him on their show or even talk about him on their show or their social medias. The only way they'll talk about him is if they're trashing him, okay? So I want to jump into some of these clips tonight, kind of watch those, give my opinion on them. You're more than welcome to drop your opinion on them in the chat. I'll pull them up. We can talk about them. But Honey Badger's in the chat. Hey, Honey Badger. So this is a little bit different of a show than what I have been doing here lately on YouTube. Here lately on YouTube, I've been doing a lot of like country rap music reactions, kind of just taking a break from politics in general, doing reaction to music I actually like and stuff like that. So I've taken a little bit of a break from politics. But I am back. All right. I am back in full swing. And, watching this podcast last night just helped remind me that I shouldn't stop sharing my political views. I shouldn't stop posting my political views. And that I should continue to push on, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So, not a bad move. Politics is draining. I agree. And that's the main reason why I took some time off. The main reason I took some time off from politics, there's two reasons, okay? Talking politics on the internet, there are a lot of content creators that do it. It's oversaturated. And like I've said on my last couple of streams, you're either a blonde with big boobs that says something outrageous. They usually get pretty famous on the right wing. Or you have to say something crazy. Okay? I'm not going to say something crazy just to say something crazy to go viral. Okay? I'm just not going to do that. But I am going to share my opinions, my views, my values, my beliefs from a real standpoint. Okay? I'm not paid by any political movement on the right wing. I don't have a big news network backing me. I don't have a bunch of people supporting me financially. This is it right here. There are no financial contributors, so to speak. So I am still just getting over being sick. I do have like some kind of sinus infection or something that's annoying as shit. So if I cough, I'll try to mute the mic, all that shit. So I'm not going to, Incoherent Turd says, you're not going to dye your hair and get a boob job. Not yet, all right? But my dream is to one day, all right, get some Ben Shapiro shekels and wear a tiny hat. So the blonde hair and the boob job, it's still on the table. All right? Still on the table. I think I would make one ugly fucking girl, though. Just my opinion. All right. So, you did watch a little bit of a 45-second clip. That clip was actually posted by Elijah Schaefer. It was a clip from his show, Slightly Offensive. I like that clip, so I wanted to show it. Also, I'm not really sure which clip I want to show first. There's one that's like, I have like 3 or 4 of them saved. Let me see. All right. Yeah, so we'll start with this one first. So if people are, okay. So Honey Badger says, California, Gavin thinking about running for president, and that Charlie guy is riding his coattail since Trump didn't give him the attention he needs. Yeah, Charlie Kirk, if that's who you're talking about, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk is, in my opinion, a snake. You got to watch him. I don't trust that guy. He is pretty much the leader of Turning Point USA, and Turning Point is a uh, Zionist-funded organization, and they do a lot of degenerate shit. Okay, the Turning Point USA, they promote like homosexuality, and they do a lot of promoting of they take the stance of like, we don't see anything wrong with transgenderism as long as you do it after you're 18 years old. And I've talked about this like viewpoint of mine before. The like there a lot of people take that stance, like, oh, we don't care about transgenderism as long as you're 18 years old when you're doing it. The problem with that is most transgenders that transition at 18 years old, the problem with that is they're mentally unstable. And anybody around them are going to be affected. Meaning, if they have younger siblings, their friend has a kid or something, or like, so the influence is still there. You're still going to have that, even if you say, okay, no sex changes before you're 18. The influence is still there. It's the influence that is driving these young people to make such drastic changes to their bodies. Okay? And Charlie and the Turning Point USA, I wouldn't say they're conservative. They're like right-leaning liberals, in my opinion. They talk about freedom of speech, but they would quickly censor Nick Fuentes in a heartbeat. A lot of people on the right, a lot of your prominent right-wing content creators, they talk about free speech, okay? But they're quick to condemn Andrew Tate. They're quick to condemn Nick Fuentes. They're quick to condemn anybody that speaks out against Zionism and Jerusalem. Okay? Or, I'm sorry, Zionism and Israel. Okay? Anybody that speaks out against that, you're automatically labeled anti-Semitic. If you're pretty, prominent on the right wing, you're going to have a hard time finding a job. Con Inc. is going to close that door. You're not going to be able to be effective. I can't say effective. You're not going to be able to find like a good paying job. You're going to have to you're basically now the black sheep of the right wing movement, which in my opinion is exactly the place you need to be. A lot of people on the right wing have been taking money from Israel for way too long, in my opinion. And you can notice it. You really start to open your eyes to Israel's influence on our politics when you jump on X and you see everybody saying the same thing. Everybody's saying the same thing. Israel is our greatest ally. But if you ask them why, most of them can't tell you why. What has Israel done for the United States besides corrupt our politicians? Besides do some really nefarious human trafficking? And I'll wait, because that's the thing. A lot of people won't do the digging or the research to find out where Israel has taken control in both left and right-wing politics. They are very nefarious in the actions they do. They control a large part of left and right-wing politics, and they're it's not good, let's put it that way. Bagels. They control bagels, for sure. Doomsday Cracker in the chat. All about the money. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I'm not really sure where you can find the information. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've really went into this side of right-wing politics. But you can go and find out AIPAC's contributions to your right-wing governors, senators, congressmen, you can find out how much AIPAC donated to their particular campaign. And I definitely encourage people, go check it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, next time you see something on X where it's talking about Israel's our greatest ally, take that person's name, do a little bit of research, and find out if AIPAC donated any money to them. And you'll start to see why they're saying what they're saying. Yeah, so Incoherent Turd, he says they take our pedophiles from us and keep them in Israel. Yeah, and that is a viral clip going around of Candace Owens. Candace Owens did mention that on the Theo Von show, which I do have that clip. If I get time, we'll watch that clip. But she does mention that basically, I don't know. Well, screw it. We'll pull it up now and watch it since Incoherent Turd said something about it. What about what the Bible says about Israel? What does the Bible say about Israel? What does it say about modern day Israel? Because that's what I'm curious about. Everybody wants to say that Israel is the Holy Land. And if you do enough research in the Bible, if you are a Christian and a follower of Christ and you've given your life to Christ, everywhere you walk is Holy Land. Everywhere you walk is Holy Land. Because you are what? You are covered in the blood of Christ. So, now I don't want to sit up here and pretend like I'm some kind of scholar, okay? But if memory serves me correct, it was the Jews that put Jesus Christ on the cross, okay? And I'm not saying all Jews are bad. Never said that. But I'll tell you one thing. They're the ones that put him on that cross. And, you can draw the conclusions. You can, figure that out for yourself. But I'm wondering, like, what scriptural evidence do you have that we should be slaves to Israel? Because I don't see it. Anyway, so let's go ahead and I'm going to pull up the Candace Owens clip and what she was talking about before we watch the Nick Fuentes clips. All right, so this is Candace Owens the other day on Theo Von's show. I was actually going to talk about this in a separate video and do like a separate reaction video to this, but we'll go ahead and pull it up on the live stream and talk about it. So here's Candace Owens on Theo Von.
I've been very disappointed in Christians who are trying to use this like biblical argument for just, well, no matter what, like,
Are people doing that?
Yeah, it's pretty sick, man. It is very sick. They're basically saying that the Bible, the Bible will bless those who bless Israel. And I'm like, okay, so we have a country who first and foremost doesn't have to give us back our pedophiles. Literally, they have this weird rule that you can go if you're Jewish and hide as a pedophile. And actually an amazing Jewish organization did the work there. You could pull it up. I think it was on CBS. I forgot what the name of the Jewish organization, but they went to Israel and was like, why are we harboring pedophiles?
So there was a Jewish organization that they had pedophiles.
They did amazing. No, they were not the pedophiles. They did the investigation to show how people are using, how like people who have molested children in America, if they're Jewish, they can then make their trip to Israel and be protected by the government. And Israel doesn't have to they literally don't have to. Yeah.
Exposing.
See.
So they actually pull up the article, and the article's from CBS News. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, oh man, that article's probably from some no-name website. No, that's from CBS News. There was a Jewish organization over in Israel that exposed the Zionists, the Jews, who were doing this, hiding these American pedophiles. So, a lot of people will say, oh, that's conspiracy theory. No, actually, it's right in front of your face.
By the government. And Israel doesn't have to they literally don't have to. Yeah.
Exposing.
CBS News, that second one.
how
right?
Jewish American
You will not
pedophiles
find a single person who says that that's wrong.
hide from justice in Israel. But can't they hide? Can't most people say if you are, so these are people that are Israeli citizens?
No, they can then become Israeli. So they're American, right? So if they just hop, if they're being in, like on a trial, you get to Israel, they'll protect you. And so they went to where all these, pedophiles are, and spoke a lot about, this, or I can't remember the name of the organization, but they did amazing work there. Jewish Community Watch, that's what it is. And so that's what I mean, where it's like there's also this wrong conflation that annoys me as well, because you have Jewish organizations who will objectively say this is wrong. They recognize they are Americans. They don't support pedophiles. And yet the mainstream media is trying to conflate them and make them think that they have to defend the actions of this state. And yeah, if you even talk about this, so say it's anti-Semitic, talk about this. What are you talking about? You're taking billions. That's the difference here. This is a country that is taking billions and billions and billions. It's an American welfare state, And CBS jumped on it. A CBS News investigation has found that many accused American pedophiles flee to Israel, and bringing them justice can be difficult.
Okay, has been trying for years to find
Caro's
Caro
one
and
of
help bring
them.
to justice. So Jimmy Caro, he's a wanted man and is considered dangerous, accused of assaulting a 9-year-old girl in Oregon in 2000. He fled to Israel before authorities in the U.S. could apprehend him. But is this just one guy?
No. So this is a story about how they are doing this. Like, it's the main story is like that they were investigating is that there's so many people that did this.
Why do they allow it?
Yeah, that's crazy. They're taking American citizens and hiding them in Israel so that they don't get caught. That's crazy. Yeah, but okay, you say Christ returns in Israel. All of Revelations happens in Israel. The Battle of Armageddon in Israel. Israel has always been a key part of the God and Bible. Always has been a key part. Doesn't necessarily mean the people that are there that are running it right now are a part of what God is going to be doing. Okay? That is a very, very, I'll say this, that's a very bold claim to have, to think that these people that are currently running Israel right now have your best interest at heart as an American citizen. I mean, I don't consider myself a Judeo-Christian. Okay, I consider myself a Christian, a follower of Christ. I do not practice Judeo customs in my house. I do not I don't practice Old Testament like traditions and all that shit that they did, the festivals, all that. I don't do that. I'm not Jewish. But anyway. So let's hide that. So let's finish watching what she says here.
Because they have special consideration and they are not allowed, they don't have to give us back our pedophiles. I don't know. I never understand these random Israeli loopholes. And it's ridiculous. And the fact that they can just call people anti-Semitic, like it's just like a sweeping allegation. How dare you notice that this is happening over here? You anti-Semite. And it's like, we have every right to critique this nation because you take money from us, especially, right? That means when we go to work, and taxes are being taken away, we're paying to support this.
Well, yeah,
and then we're being
that
gaslit by the media who's telling us that critiquing them in any way is an act of hatred for Jews, which is just such a nonsense.
Oh, I don't like that Netanyahu guy, man.
I hate him.
That guy seems like an evil guy to me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Who are the people currently running Israel? And the reason why I say that is because do these people really follow Christ? Do they follow after the true God? And the answer to that question is no. Actually, if you go over to Israel, most Jews hate Christians. Okay? And it's just a simple fact. I mean, you can look up numerous videos from them assaulting Christians on the streets. They do not believe that Jesus Christ was the Savior. They believe that he was a prophet. So, and not everything I want to talk about tonight is Israel, but that's just some of my thoughts on it. I would like to say I'm an expert in that area, but I'm really not. I can just tell you when
I've been very disappointed in Christian.
I can recognize when somebody's feeding me a line of bullshit, and that's exactly what Israel's been doing. The whole October 7th and how that went down and how that terrorist attack happened, you cannot tell me that Israel didn't know that was going to happen. And then Israel used October 7th to basically wipe Gaza off the face of the map. Bombing all different types of, bombing civilians. Basically, what Israel did was genocide. And I'll say this, and I've said it on every other podcast where I've talked about the Jews in Israel. I don't give a shit about either side, to be totally honest with you. The Middle East, I don't give a shit about the Middle East. I just don't. I'm America first. I want this country back on track. Financially, ethnically, all right? I want our economy to recover, our borders secured, jobs back in the economy, homelessness cleaned up, inner cities cleaned up. I don't give a shit about what Israel, Iran, Afghanistan, Russia, Ukraine, China. I don't give a fuck what them people are doing. I don't care what they're doing. I think America should be isolationist. Okay? We should learn to stay out of other countries' fucking business. So. No, I don't take it as you're trying to argue with me. I would love to say like I'm very, very well versed in the Bible and scriptures, and I can prove to you this and I can prove to you that. I really can't. All right. Maybe at one time I could have done that in my life. I'll say this though. I don't believe modern day Jews, for the most part, let's put it this way, modern day Zionists do not have the best interest at heart for modern day Christians in America. I don't feel like they would ever go to bat for us. Actually, I think they're actively working against us. But all right, so let's go ahead and get into the clips where I wanted to talk about Nick Fuentes. All right, so in this clip, and I'll go ahead and pull it up. So in this clip, Nick is talking to Elijah Schaffer, and he's talking about the demographic change in America. And that's pretty much what this clip is about. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up, and we'll discuss it a little bit.
And people say Western to avoid saying a white country, right? They say, oh, a Western nation. It is no longer a Western nation. The very definition of a Western nation is Western people, which is white people.
Right.
And when you remove those people, the culture changes. Doesn't mean it's going to fall apart. The USSR crumbled, but Russia still exists, right? America as a nation still can exist, but, and I got in trouble saying, American is an ethnicity and a nationality. You could be an American citizen, but not necessarily have an ethnic share in what's going on. And I think Black Americans are big on that. They like to be separate. They like to dog on each other if they're acting too white. Mm-hmm. They create their own, ebonics. Well, I guess Jews made their music, but still, they have their own culture. I don't know what you think about that, but I feel like we're going towards a death rattle.
That is a true statement about Black people and Black culture. Okay, and I've heard it. When I was working manufacturing, I worked for a Honda supplier, and I was at work one day. And there was this guy that worked the assembly lines, and his name was Cole. Well, Cole was like a mixed guy. He was half white, half black. I was talking to another guy that night that I was friends with, and he was more black. I think he was mixed a little bit with white. But he come up to me, and he was all pissed off. And he's like, man, Cole's a little bitch. And I'm like, oh, what the hell's going on? I was kind of friends with both of them, and he's like, man, he's acting like, so he said something like, he's acting like Whitey's still in charge or some shit. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, oh man, he's acting awfully white over there. You know, he's mixed, but he acts more white than he does black. And I'm like, well, what the fuck are you trying to say? Is that a bad thing? So shit like that, it's like if you're mixed or if you're black and you're acting, like a white person, other black people will dog you. And a lot of them, I can't say all of them, okay, but there are some black people that absolutely still hate white people. And it's just crazy. Uh, oh, very, okay, very possible, but God is very clear. Yeah, I would have to see scripture reference for that. I don't, yeah, I'd have to literally see you post the scriptures for that. Yeah, so he knows he's mixed, but he can only be black. And he said some other shit too that I'm not gonna repeat since I'm on YouTube right now. Uh, but he basically called Cole a house N word. All right, that's what he called him. And I'm like, well, why the fuck would you say that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of fucked up. You're talking about, because I mean, you're talking about Cole. I thought they were cool or whatever, but yeah. Anyway, let's go back just a little bit. We'll watch the rest of this clip.
Dog on each other if they're acting too white. They create their own, ebonics. Well, I guess Jews made their music, but still, they have their own culture. I don't know what you think about that, but I feel like we're going towards a death rattle that America will no longer be a Western nation very, very soon.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, because when you say, you're so right, I mean, about the deception, you say Western, okay, name some Western countries: France, England, Spain, Italy, Germany. What do they all have in common? Is there one non-European country that is Western? I mean, if anything, Western is like a specific kind of white. I mean, because there's three white nationalities. If you go back to the old racialists like Madison Grant from 100 years ago, there's three European white nationalities. There's Nords, Mediterraneans, and Slavs, Alpinids. You have three. Western is really Nords. I mean, it's mostly Nords, and you could say it's some Meds. But we never include, we talk about Western civilization, we're not talking about Russia. We're not necessarily talking about all the Asiatic Slavs that are super far east. We're not talking about that. When we say Western, we're talking about the Enlightenment. We're talking about, in many cases, Protestant nations. We're talking about the Renaissance. We're talking about Western Europe. And so they say Western is shorthand for white. And so there was also a big debate 30 years ago, 100 years ago. Can you have modernization without westernization? In other words, do you have to adopt Western culture, Western military uniforms, Western everything in order to modernize, in order to have industry, in order to have modern standards of living? And you have different countries like Turkey and Japan that did westernize, under Ataturk or the Meiji Restoration in Turkey and Japan, and they did westernize. But you look at these countries, and a country like Japan also just has a very high IQ. And even though they have modernized, they have maintained a very different culture. And you look around the world, has any other society had success with westernization or non-westernization and modernized? A country like Liberia has an American constitution. Liberia was actually part of a colony by Americans to resettle black people. That was actually the project. Liberia, the capital's Monrovia. It's named after President Monroe. They have our constitution. Is Liberia like America? Is it like England? Is it like Italy? Or is it like the rest of Africa? And so race is obviously deterministic. They say Western, they say...
See, that's a good question. That's something to investigate, because I know for a fact that Libya is not. Libya is a mess right now. And I'm pretty sure they're either involved in some kind of war, civil war, something along those lines. It's been a little while since I've looked into Libya, but yeah, Libya is a freaking mess. So, this was the best point Nick made all show. Yeah. Yeah, I thought Nick had a good showing last night on Slightly Offensive. So I thought he did pretty good.
They have our constitution. Is Liberia like America? Is it like England? Is it like Italy? Or is it like the rest of Africa? And so race is obviously deterministic. They say Western, they say Christian, they say all these different things, and they're all shorthand for white. They're all shorthand for the kinds of societies and the kinds of way of living that only white people has so far, and some other exceptions, been able to have or to discover. So when you have a country that is no longer white, it's not only going to be different, it's also going to suck. And we're not going to want to live there. So it just has to, at this point, I don't care about anything else. People talk about the debt. We could be a white country in debt, you know?
Yeah.
People talk about socialism. We could be a white socialist country. Anything would be preferable to being a non-white country, because once that happens, it never gets reversed and it's irreparably destroyed.
That I really do agree with.
So I wanted to say this. A lot of the Liberia, not Libya, my bad. Liberia. I don't know why I said Libya. But the point I wanted to make in this is that the narrative nowadays around like America being a cultural melting pot or diversity is our strength is a lot of people don't understand. If you're constantly bringing these people in from third world countries, bringing in these immigrants, whether you're bringing them in legally or illegally, you're culturally changing the dynamics of the United States. And like what Nick said, is once white people are the minority, it's hard to ever be able to shift it back. And I would actually say that diversity is not our strength. I'm not saying that we don't need any diversity or any immigrants coming in, but my personal stance, my personal opinion on this issue is that the border needs to be shut down and everybody that's here illegally has to go back until we can sort everything out. And that's what we were promised with Donald Trump, in my opinion. We were promised that, and it's not happening. Actually, if you have $5 million and you live in a foreign country now, you can come over and buy citizenship. And that's not what the fuck I voted for him for. Okay? I voted for Trump to remove illegal immigrants. All right? To remove or to shut down the border. It's what I wanted. It's what I thought I was getting. Should have listened to Nick, because that's not what we're getting. We're probably going to get more immigrants, and they're going to come over here and they're going to find a way to make them legal to where they never leave. So, I do agree. If you flood this nation with people from different ethnicities and different cultures, eventually that shit bleeds through to what has made this country so great. And I believe that this country has been ran by majority white people. Okay? And that's why, I can't say that's why we're at where we're at. That was the reason for our success. And people will say, well, what about slavery? And what about all the evil stuff that white people did? What about them taking the land from indigenous people? And it's like every piece of land in this world was conquered by somebody. Okay, whether you like it or not, somebody conquered that land to take it over. And it's going to be that way until this world ends. And that's exactly what we did with the Indians. We came over, we were stronger than they were, we took the country. Okay? And now it's ours until somebody else can take it. That's how that shit works. Yes, if Trump pulls a Reagan, we're fucked forever. And that is true. Reagan is I can't remember what he enacted off the top of my head, but he enacted something dealing with the border and immigration, and I can't remember what the fuck it is. It's called something, and I can't remember. But Reagan is a huge issue of the reason, one of the main reasons why we're at where we're at right now. And if Trump has like a Reagan type of second term, we're in fucking trouble. All right. And I love Donald Trump. Fuck, I voted for him twice, or I voted for him 3 times. I've supported him since he come down the golden escalator. But he's not hearing his fucking base. And in my opinion, he's acting like he's been bought and paid for. We were promised to make America great again. We were promised a border wall. We were promised a secure border. We were promised illegal immigrants would be shipped back, not be able to buy their way in for $5 million. Okay, and I don't give a fuck if you're a super smart genius and you could improve our economy. I don't fucking care. I don't want you here. $5 million, I don't give a shit about that money. Some bigwig in Washington, D.C. might, but I don't give a shit how much money you got. I want to secure this country for future generations, for my kids, my grandkids. Okay? I want this country to stay majority white. And a lot of people will say, well, man, that's pretty fucking racist, you know? And it all goes back to what I said the other day in a live stream. Is everybody can be proud of their race but the white man. As soon as a white man says, I want this for my race, for my group of people, my set of people, I want this. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, you fucking white nationalist. What are you, Hitler or something? And I'm letting you know right now that that kind of thinking puts white people in a cucked position. Okay? Well, maybe I am a little racist. Oh man, you can't tell anybody I think like this, or I'm gonna be in trouble. You know, or yeah, sure, you can do whatever you want to me, just don't label me a racist. And you know, it is what it is, man. And sometimes you got to take the hard truth. And the hard truth is they're operating in a white replacement type of way. They want to make sure that in the next 10 years, and this is right or left politicians, they are operating in a way where they want whites to be the minority in the next 10 years. I would say by 2030. And a lot of people say, oh man, that ain't going to happen. That's not going to happen. All it takes, okay, even if Trump shuts down the border, okay, and let's just say he sends half the illegal immigrants back, just half, and he's able to get that done in 4 years. Who's the next president? Because if it's a Democrat, we're fucked. If it's a Republican, we're fucked. All right? Because where is the white nationalist coming in and saying, whoa, we're going back to conservatism. We're going backwards. We're turning this fucking boat around. And there isn't a next one in line. As far as a politician goes. Well, you think J.D. Vance is going to stand up to illegal immigration? That's fucking funny. His best friend's Vivek. Vivek wants these special visas for all his Indian friends. Wants Ohio to become the next Silicon Valley. Come on, man. They want to bring in Indian engineers. I mean, the writing's on the wall. A lot of these politicians don't give a fuck about you, whether it's left or right. And if you're white, I encourage you to be proud of your race. All right? Say, no, point something out when you think it's one-sided or nefarious against you. That's why I don't go for this whole DEI bullshit. Okay? Diversity, equity, inclusion. Fuck that shit. Okay? A person should be hired based off of their qualifications. All right? Are they good enough to do the job? All right? Everybody should be on a level playing field. We should not be bringing foreign people into this country to do jobs that Americans could do. Period. And I've worked with a lot of Indian people, okay? A lot of Indian people in the manufacturing, when I was working manufacturing. And there was I could point to maybe one out of probably 50 or 60 that was smart and that could do a better job than what I could do, a man without a college education. I mean, I don't know. All right, end of rant. I'm going on to the next clip. So in this clip, basically, I want to see if this is the same clip. I might have saved the same clip. Hey, what's up, HBR? You've come into the middle of a Nick Fuentes reaction live stream. Welcome. The man nobody wants to talk about. All right, so Honey Badger says Gavin Democratic, then Vance of Republican. Yeah, I don't trust Vance. And I'm from Ohio, okay? Vance is from Ohio, blah, blah, blah. He's for the people of Ohio. Vivek's from Ohio. Yeah, I don't trust Vivek. JD's wife and kids are Indians too. Nice people, I'm sure, but exactly. I mean, this is the thing, okay? Vivek is constantly on X. Now, I know you just said JD, but Vivek is constantly on X talking about Americans' cultures and values and beliefs and what makes this country great. And my thing is he doesn't believe in the same God we believe in. He has an Indian wife, Indian kids. He has stayed pretty much, everything in his life is basically centered around Indian culture. So what, if America is so great, then what are you doing to show that? You've basically stayed exactly the same. Like, you've adopted India's, God, their culture. You married an Indian woman. I mean, I don't see it. I think he's a shoddy salesman. Vivek is. He's trying to, and he'll say shit like, well, America's a set of ideas. And America's not a set of ideas, okay? This is my home, okay? This is where my family's been raised, where my family's family has been raised, okay? This goes back generations for me. It's not just a set of ideas. It's blood, sweat, and tears that my ancestors have put into this country. So, I don't know. Like I said, I think he's a shoddy salesman. And he's not fucking good at it, okay? He's not good at it. You got to go and actually read his tweets, listen to some of his campaign speeches. He's literally been mocked for mimicking Obama's campaign speeches. So. All right, so let's watch the next clip. So I think this is a different clip. I'm going to pull it up. I'm done talking bullshit. Vivek is popping all your Ohio Riz straight down the skivvy toilet. Vivek. I'm telling you, I think he will be the next governor of Ohio. Because that's how bad, like, he's pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. Okay? Vivek will probably be the next governor of Ohio. Plus, he's got Trump's endorsement. Without Trump's endorsement, I could see it not happening. But Trump's endorsed him. People don't do enough of their own research in Ohio. They do, but they don't. And people will run out and vote for him. Especially when it's the other options that are out there. I can't remember who the other lady is. But you got DeWine. I don't think DeWine's running again for governor. I don't think so. But you know, people have had so many years of DeWine. They're gonna want something else, something new. Yeah, so it's not good. All right, so let's watch this clip. That says watch again. I didn't watch it the first
The
time.
country is noticeably less.
All right, here we go.
The country is noticeably less white now than it was 20 years ago. And I know that because, you know, I'm 26 now. I could remember what it was like 20 years ago. I remember what it was like in the early 2000s. And we were already pretty deracinated at that point. And so the question becomes, in a practical way, what happens when your kids are going to a public school because, you know, you're middle class, you can't afford private school, and all the kids in the school are Indian, you know, or Mexican, and they're saying the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish, because that's how it is in Chicago. If you go into the west side of Chicago, you go into the west suburbs, they say the pledge in Spanish.
That's
all
wild.
the kids are in ESL. Their English is a second language. That's just how it is now. And if you go to other neighborhoods, if you go out to Aurora in Illinois, if you go to Northern Virginia, all in neighborhoods, if you go out to Aurora in Illinois, if you go to Northern Virginia, all Indians and Arabs, and they're taking off for Diwali, and they're taking off for all their holidays. And you start seeing structures literally go up in these suburbs of like Indian deities, like Hindu deities. Do we want to live in a country where there's like statues of Vishnu going up? Do we want to live in a country where everyone's taking a day off for Diwali or, you know, Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish? And what does it feel like when your kids are in a classroom where nobody looks like each other and they're picked on for being white or something like that? I mean, I went to London a couple of years ago to do Pearl Davis's show. I was in some shopping mall and I saw a field trip from like a grade school or a high school. Every single one of them was Sikh. You know, they all had the Sikh headgear on. They're all brown. And it's like, this is a country where nobody's even familiar. Who the fuck wants to live in this country? And it's not like, you know, but that's
Why am I muted? That was weird. I never hit the mute button. No, but basically what I was saying is that, you know, like I said, like I pulled up HBR's comment here. It says it's bullshit. If you live in this country, you should speak English. Yeah, it should be mandatory, okay? Mandatory that you speak English. Like I said, with the Haitians coming over, the Haitians... Am I still muted? I shouldn't be muted now. Let me see. Am I still muted? I don't want to keep explaining myself. This will be the second time. Okay, good. Good. All right. Basically, what I was saying is that when the Haitians came over to Ohio, they spoke Creole. So when they got these jobs, these manufacturing jobs, they spoke Creole, and they had to hire a translator to translate into English. And like it was a big thing because you're putting these people on like production lines with machines and equipment and parts, and like they're dealing with some pretty crazy shit. And if you can't tell them like, no, 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 don't stick your fucking hand in that, that could be a safety issue. Or, no, we don't do it like that. Here's the SOP in English, and they can't fucking read English. That's a problem. Okay? So, yeah, when they come over here, they have to learn English. That should be mandatory. So, and I don't know what the hell happened. I don't think I hit the button. Something just muted. I think it was just God's way of saying, shut up, asshole, for a second. All right, let's watch the rest of this clip.
It always gets bound up in, well, you hate them for being Indian. You hate them for who they are.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally joking. That's a joke.
That's how it's always framed. Oh, you don't like them. Oh, you're racist. It's like, well, is it hateful to prefer being around your own kind?
Right.
It might be racist, but it's not hateful. And people need to kind of get comfortable with like, look, if I'm being called racist, but we live in a country where I'm comfortable and my kids are comfortable, I'll gladly be called a racist. I don't give a shit, because like our quality of life is going to deteriorate to an unacceptable level. And people are saying, oh, well, what are you going to do? Get called racist? Yeah, it's worth it. And as time goes on, as the cost for living in a non-white country grows, that risk analysis where people say, is it worth stepping out of line, being accused of being a bigot? It's going to change. And I think you're going to get more of a pro-white politics. I think you already are, because people don't want to deal with it. Nobody wants to live in a place like this. And now you see these videos of the Indians, the street food, it's all become very popular.
Yeah.
I mean, the lack of hygiene.
Has anybody seen the street food Indian videos? Or the street food with the Indians? Yeah, that's disgusting, dude. That's disgusting. It's not very hygienic at all. So I just happened to look up at my feed here. We got like almost 400 people watching this fucking stream right now. Oh, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Anyway, all right. So yeah, the street food by the Indians is absolutely disgusting. Okay. And the shit that, like, some of the Indians are doing and the Hispanics and, like, I know there was some shit going on in the streets in New York City when all the illegal immigrants were coming over. I can't remember if they were Hispanic or Venezuelans or some shit, but they were, like, cooking shit out on the streets, and it was disgusting. All right, so let's go back just a little bit. We'll finish this.
More of a pro-white politics. I think you already are, because people don't want to deal with it. Nobody wants to live in a place like this. And now you see these videos of the Indians, the street food. It's all become very popular.
Yeah.
I mean, the lack of hygiene, and Vivek. He's in the interview with his shoes and socks off.
Yeah.
Who the fuck does that? It's disgusting.
People who worship.
Like, who would come into because the Vivek video that he's talking about, the picture, he come into like a news interview, like somebody was doing like an interview, and he takes his shoes and socks off and sits on a stool with his dirty ass feet. Like, bro, your feet are dirty. Keep your shoes and socks on. Nobody wants to smell that shit.
Demons.
Yeah, that's right.
What I mean? But
all right, so that was the end of that clip. I don't know why I stopped.
The country is noticeable.
All right, so let's go back. Let's watch this clip. So this is one where he's talking about the Jews. This one is about Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so let's go to this one. This one mainly is just talking about the Jews and not arguing with them. So let's watch this clip.
I mean, $100 million from AIPAC last year. AIPAC spent $100 million in last year's cycle to unseat people in primaries who voted against Israeli foreign aid. And they were open about it. And so you'll have people, again, this is the Mott and Bailey. People say, there's no Jewish money in politics. Okay, maybe there is, but Qatar puts money in too. And then you talk about AIPAC. Well, at least they're doing it openly. I saw Will Chamberlain's.
What up, Triple T? Hey, we're just talking about politics tonight. We're talking about one of the most controversial figures in politics today, and that's Nicholas J. Fuentes. So in this clip, he's talking about the money in politics that these Jewish organizations give our politicians, okay? And one of them is, they have AIPAC that donates money to these politicians. Well, what he's saying in this clip is that anytime somebody speaks out against AIPAC and the money that they've put into these politicians' pocket, all right, he's speaking out against it, and if anybody else speaks out against it, they automatically label them anti-Semitic. Okay, that is the game plan. And then if anti-Semitic doesn't work, they'll come up with something else. And then if that doesn't work, they'll come up with something else. And they'll slander these people and basically try to destroy their names. And that's what they have done to Nick Fuentes. And he's getting ready to explain it in a little bit more detail.
There's no Jewish money in politics. Okay, maybe there is, but Qatar puts money in too. And then you talk about AIPAC. Well, at least they're doing it openly. I saw Will Chamberlain. Will Chamberlain's Jewish.
He attacks me all the time.
Yeah, he's a Jewish lawyer.
Okay, makes sense.
And Will Chamberlain went in with Raheem Kassam to purchase human events. I'm actually told that was like Qatari or Emirati money that there's 300.
So Will Chamberlain is a right-wing guy. Okay, he has been on Timcast. He's been on a bunch of different political podcasts. So basically, Nick's saying that he is a Jewish lawyer, and then he starts to go into detail about what he did to him.
Jewish lawyer.
Okay, makes sense.
And Will Chamberlain went in with Raheem Kassam to purchase human events. I'm actually told that was like Qatari or Emirati money that there's $300,000 to buy human events. That was a rumor that went around at one time. Anyway,
I heard that.
But Will Chamberlain, he goes and tweets the other day, because it's the big controversy surrounding AIPAC is that they're not registered under FARA. Every group that gets money from a foreign government has to register under the Foreign Agent Registration Act so that there's transparency about where they're getting their money. And so, like JFK tried to force the American Jewish Committee to register under FARA when he was killed. Lyndon Johnson just dropped it, didn't force them. And then they basically re-engineered how they spend the money under AIPAC. So people say this is a big problem. AIPAC should register. Other groups should register. Will Chamberlain, who's Jewish, says, well, they don't need to register under FARA because we already know it's all Israeli money. And so it's like, again, this is the kind of stuff they do. It's this Mott and Bailey where you say, there's Jewish money. That's anti-Semitic. Okay, but it's factual. Well, there's other money going in. Okay, but they should register under FARA. Well, we already know that it's Jewish money. And so there's just no way you're going to win because they're agents. They're spies.
And that's basically what he's saying. It's like a lot of these people that are, criticizing, like Nick for saying like, hey, look at all this money coming in, all this Jewish money coming into like these politicians' pocket. Will Chamberlain's saying like, yeah, we already know that, but what about all this other money coming in? And it's like, well, wait a minute, let's address the money coming in from AIPAC. All right, let's talk about that. And what they want to do is they either want to label you anti-Semitic, say you're being paid by, in this case, Qatar, or they want to like move the goalpost, okay, and say like, hey, yeah, AIPAC's donating money, but what about these other organizations? And it's like it's a constant. They want to constantly divert you away from the real issue, in my opinion. And that's basically what Nick's saying.
That's why we call it the Matrix, because you think you're dealing with people, you're dealing with agents that work for the system. So the goal is not to argue with a Will Chamberlain, a Max Nordau, a Joel Berry. The point is to expose them. It's to humiliate them. It is to destroy their credibility. It is to expose them. It's to say, you're not an honest actor. You're an agent. And that way people stop listening to them. But people need to be aware that we're playing a different game than they think we are. People think we're playing a game where we're trying to persuade Charlie Kirk like he doesn't know. He's ignorant. And we're saying, you gotta read this book. You gotta get red pilled. He knows
They're
what's
well
up.
aware.
They're paid off. So the game is to convince the people by humiliating and exposing the system. And that's why people say,
convincing the people by humiliating and exposing the system. Message. Oh, shit. And this is why, and I feel like this is just my personal opinion, that we're going to see this year and the next coming years, we are going to see the redemption arc of Nicholas J. Fuentes. Because a lot of what he's been saying is starting to come true. A lot of the reasons why he said, hey, I'm not voting for Trump, is starting to come true. All the shit that he's been saying about AIPAC and the Zionists and Israel is starting to come true. And every day, people are having to sit back. Now, not every day. They might not say he's right about everything, but every day people are starting to be like, well, shit, he was right about that, or he was right about that. And the problem is that they don't like his abrasive tone, or they don't like some of the stuff that he says. And the thing is even with some of the most abrasive people, the people that hurt your feelings the most, you have to dig for the truth. You have to see where you are being fooled by your own government. Okay? And you have to see the truth in what a person's saying. Even if you are irritated by their personality. Which, me personally, I like Nick's personality. I think he's educated. Most of the time when I see him on somebody else's podcast, he's polite, he's kind, but he is very stern in his messaging. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't say, well, I feel this way on my show, but when I come on your show, I'm going to feel a completely different way. It doesn't work like that with Nick. He's straightforward all the time. His views and opinions don't change because of social pressure. And that's one thing I can appreciate about the guy. For sure, is he doesn't bend or break or try to coddle a certain group of people.
Why does Charlie Kirk debate the governor of California? Why does he debate socialists? If socialism is so evil and kills 100 million people, why do you sit on a stage and debate socialists, but not a far-right person? Like you said, not a Catholic virgin pushing American nationalism. It's because that's not part of the game. It's like, in The Dark Knight when they say that's not part of the plan. It's not according to plan. You can debate the people on the left. You can't debate the people on the far-right flank.
And that's the thing, Charlie Kirk does refuse to debate Nick Fuentes.
100 million.
And that's been an ongoing issue, I think since 2018, 2019, when Nick was calling out Turning Point USA for all of their nefarious activities and crazy shit that they were doing. Basically saying, hey, look, this shit is not conservative. This is not right-wing. What you guys are doing is blatantly being deceptive. And the majority of Turning Point's fan base is younger men and women, like teenagers to college age men and women. So what they would do is they'd kind of water down the conservative message, almost make it like a right-leaning light. It's almost like, yeah, we believe that. The most obvious example I can give is with the trans issue. oh, we don't want trans kids. You know, we should ban all that stuff when it comes to like kids and transitioning. But when you're 18 years old, you should be able to do whatever you want. You know, and it's like, oh, you know, that type of messaging is the type of shit that they do. Like, oh, well, you know, gay people are fine on the right, but we don't want you to be gay and a liberal at the same time. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You know, are we living by conservative Christian values, or are we just trying to get people to vote for our side? And I believe what's happening is the right, you have what they call the far right. The far right is going even more right. They say, oh, fuck that. We're not going back towards the middle or towards the liberals. And then you have the majority of the right-wing people are becoming more liberal. What they do is they give you this information, and they send out all these Con Inc., which is your right-wing content creators. They send them out, and they push the narrative. Well, you can be gay just as long as you're on the right wing. Or you can be trans just as long as you're 18. Or you can believe in legal immigration. And it's like, once they start, feeding you that constantly, you're going to be like, what's a little illegal immigration here and there? A 16-year-old should be able to make a decision on whether they can cut their dick off or not. Oh man, a 17-year-old should be able to cut their tits off, and become a man. So they want to give you that little bit, and then constantly wear you down with pulling you just a little bit more left. And before you know it, we're all going to be raging lefty lunatics. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as that clip goes. What I wanted to say about that, I think there might be like one or two more clips. Yeah, here's one talking about Jeffrey Epstein. So we'll pull this one up. I think I got a couple more clips, and then I'm going to wrap it up. But let's see what Nick Fuentes has to say about Jeffrey Epstein. I want to read the little caption to this clip. It says, Nick Fuentes talks about one of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers, saying she was treated like garbage because she wasn't Jewish and wasn't allowed in their country club. So this is just telling a story, I suppose. I don't know if I've watched this clip yet or not. So we're going to learn this shit together, I guess. All right, so let's see what he's got to say here. It's very dangerous to play a clip from Nick Fuentes when you haven't watched it.
There's a great clip. Keith Woods actually posted it, my nemesis. No, he's okay. But he posted this clip. It's one of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers, one of the girls who was trafficked. And she said, because the Epstein thing is obviously super hot. Everyone's talking about it. And people are saying, well, he was part of the Israeli left. He was part of the Israeli deep state. Or maybe he wasn't really Jewish. Or maybe he was with MI6. We don't know.
James Lindsay actually said that.
Yeah, they all say that. Many of them have said that. That's the line. Yeah. Well, one of the accusers, one of those girls who was abused by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, she says they're Jewish supremacists. She says they treated me like garbage because I wasn't Jewish. She said, Ghislaine Maxwell told me, this is a Jewish country club. You're not one of us. She said they think they're smarter than us. They think because we're not Jewish, they're better than us. From the horse's mouth. That's from one of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers. So you ask yourself, what's really going on with Epstein? What's really the deal? Well, you could go into the facts, and you could say that he was brought up by Charles Bronfman and Les Wexner, two Jewish billionaires who raised money for Israel, who helped some of the various prime ministers in Israel. You could look at the facts. People say, well, they were involved with a lot of intelligence agencies. What about the fact that they're all the same ethnicity, and they tell their people they're sexually trafficking, it's a Jewish country club. You're not one of us. We're better than you. We're smarter than you. At a certain point, you have to trust them when they tell you who they are. You have to take them at their word. And that's the case when you look at Daily Wire. Is that a Jewish country club? When you look at CPAC, Turning Point, is that a Jewish country? You know, it sort of is. And a lot of them they literally raise money. They do a big fundraiser every year at the Breakers, not far from where we are.
Oh, yeah.
It's all Jewish donors.
Yeah. So
There's a great clip.
it kind of reminds me of that George Carlson clip. It's a big club. It's something along the lines of it's a big club and you're not in it. All right. And that's how right-wing politics are. Is either you're a supporter of Israel and every action they're doing, or you're an anti-Semitic piece of shit. And that's basically the way they make it out to be. All right? And if you don't believe me, just wait until the next person speaks out on the right or the left, but more on the right. Focus on the right. The next time somebody on the right speaks out about Jews, and just watch people's heads explode. Okay? And it's like they'll instantly turn on you, throw you to the wolves, and basically try to destroy your life. So, yeah. So there is one more clip I want to watch of Nick Fuentes. I think, well, this isn't really much of Nick Fuentes. This is Elijah Schaffer's opinion on what he thinks 2025 is going to do for Nick Fuentes. Let's check it out. It's a short clip. We'll watch this one. And then I'm going to get ready to wrap it up for the evening. So let's go.
If everybody's criticizing Israel, if everybody's anti-white, everybody's against legal immigration, everybody's a social conservative, why am I still canceled? You know, wasn't that the whole thing? I was just ahead of the curve. I was just saying it a year early.
But that's what I told you. I go, look, this is why the boys got to have friends, because I'm telling you, 2025 is going to be the year of uncanceling Nicholas J. Fuentes. Let's go. Give me some confetti, please. We don't just have physical props; we have digital props too.
I love that.
We still have we have it all.
If everybody's criticizing Israel, if everybody's
a little COC in the face. Confetti of color, you sickos. All right. No, but Elijah's right here. I think it's time that we start admitting that Israel doesn't have our best interest at heart. Okay? That they quite possibly committed genocide. That Bibi Netanyahu is what you would consider probably a serial killer. All right? That the majority of our politicians are paid off by AIPAC. All right? And we just have to realize that quite possibly the only hope to turn right-wing politics around as we speak right now, all right, that is actively in politics and actively in office, could possibly be compromised. And I'm talking about Donald Trump. Okay? He is it. You look around, and does anybody have the balls that Donald Trump has? Does anybody have the power that Donald Trump has? Does anybody have the authority that Trump has? And then ask yourself, has he been compromised by Israeli intelligence and AIPAC? And is he working for Silicon Valley? Or is he still working for the American people? Is he going to build the wall? Is he going to deport illegal immigrants? Is he truly going to make this country great again? Because I think that's the question we all want to know. So Nick Fuentes exposes Trump, exposes right-wing politics. And if you want to watch the whole podcast, now I just picked out a few clips that I thought were good, pulled them up. We watched them tonight. But if you want to watch the full podcast episode, the link will be in the description below. So it is Elijah Schaffer's show. It's called Slightly Offensive. If you're easily offended, don't watch his show, or watch his show and come back here and tell me all about it. So Incoherent Turd says, I don't think he's been compromised. He's just a naive boomer. And that could be the case. He could just be a naive boomer. Okay? My dad's a naive boomer. He still believes the nightly evening news. Okay? If Dan Rather was still doing the news, my dad would still believe him. Okay? No, but in all honesty, he still watches PBS and all that stuff. So boomers are a different type of breed. They are, in my opinion, a class that needs to be protected, but also needs to be exposed to the truth. They are the most heavily brainwashed generation that we've ever had. Okay, the amount of political propaganda that was fed to the boomers is absolutely insane. So I pray for your boomers. I know we rag on them and talk shit about them a lot of times. But you definitely need to pray for them, especially if you have parents. Hey, I appreciate it, Honey Badger. Yeah, it's always a risk, all right? It's a risky business when you talk about this type of politics. It's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. I'm used to not being a very popular guy, all right? Even though right now we have 1,800 people watching in this live stream, which is fucking insane. I've never had that many people in a live stream. But when you talk about Nick Fuentes, you talk about Elijah Schaffer, you're probably going to get a little bit more people in your live stream. I will say this. I have criticized Nick. I have supported Nick. I've praised Nick. All right. I have done pretty much of everything. All right. One thing I've never done, and that's said he should be removed from the internet, even if I disagreed with him strongly on an issue. The man has the freedom of speech and is supposed to be protected under the First Amendment. He should not be punished for some of the shit that he's been punished for. All just because they don't like the fact that he does a show every night. And his show's not even on mainstream news network, okay? It's on Rumble. It's on Cozy TV, all right? But I'll say this. If his show was mainstream, he would have a lot more people supporting him. Because I think a lot more people are waking up to Israel. A lot more people are waking up to the bullshit that's going on with these Zionists and AIPAC and our crooked politicians and who they're taking money from. I think a lot more people are waking up to the truth. And the truth is, there's some crazy shit going on behind the scenes. And it's ran by some very powerful Jews. You can believe it, or you cannot believe it, but I would say do the research. Do the research. That's all. That's the only thing I can say. And I know that's an easy cop-out. But for me to sit down and explain to you every area of politics where, wealthy Jews were involved and trying to deceive you, I'd literally probably be here all night. So Backwoods Insanity says, I've been listening to you as I'm working on a water leak. I'm going to have to rewatch. That's all good, man. If you like my politics and you like what I do politically, you'll probably like this video. But definitely, before I go, I want to tell everybody, please go check out Nick Fuentes. I'm going to pull up his Rumble on my... So let me pull up his Rumble. And I'm going to promote his page. And then I'm also going to promote Elijah Schaffer. So give me 1 second. Well, let me do it this way. Okay, let me close this out. So I want to promote Nick's channel. And then Elijah's channel. So give me 1 second. All right. So here's Nick's page on Rumble. So if you want to go check him out, you want to support him, go ahead and hit the follow button. As you can see, I am already a follower. Uh-oh. And then also you can find Elijah Schaefer on Slightly Offensive. All right. So go and follow Elijah Schaefer at Slightly Offensive on Rumble. He's also on YouTube as well. YouTube page. Let me pull that up because I want to do that too. Elijah Schaefer has a new YouTube page. So if you can, please go follow him there. Since I have so many people watching, I want to make sure I promote these guys' pages. So let me go ahead and get that pulled up. And then I'll present it. So follow Elijah Schaefer on Rumble. And then also follow him at his other page on YouTube called Almost Serious. So Almost Serious is a new YouTube page that they started. This is more like a one-on-one interview, sit down type of setting. Really good episodes. So I did just recently have a Jew on talking about how Israel is our greatest ally, whether they are or they're not. So I thought that episode was really interesting. So if you want to go check that out. So, I've been following Elijah Schaefer for since like 2020. Okay. Elijah's a good dude. He's funny. He's abrasive. He's offensive. If you're fucking sensitive, don't watch it. Okay. Because your little feelings are going to get fucking hurt. Okay. We're usually in the Rumble chat, wilding the fuck out. All right. So, but also he does have let me go back. Because he does have a locals page too. I'm going to promote that too while I'm here. Just because I want to be a nice guy. I'm going to promote his locals page. Or maybe not. He doesn't have it on here. Never mind. So Elijah Schaefer does have a locals page too. But I'm sure you'll hear that if you go and follow his channel. He'll promote that. So... but that's pretty much it for me tonight. I think I'm going to wrap it up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. It's awesome. We got over 2,000 watchers, okay, in this stream, which is awesome. Thanks for coming and checking out the show. Come back, follow the page. We also do, like I said at the beginning of the show, we do like music video reactions. We do politics. We do political live streams like this, so it just depends. You never know what you'll get, what you're gonna get. Thanks for everybody that's subscribing to Elijah Schaefer and Nick Fuentes. Have a good night, Backwoods Insanity. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. God bless you. God bless your family. And God bless the United States of America. I'm out.
On track, now we on way up.